Hare Ram.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः सदा श्रीस्वरमस्ति। ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूषणे श्रीमते श्रीवेदान्ते स्वामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारे जयकोत्तर श्रीयवाहरि पाश्चात्यदेशधारि इदं श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो निष्काम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 29, Explanation of Devotional Service. So we are almost in the concluding phase of the verses. So we come to text 43. Nabho dadati shvasatam padam yant niyamad adah lokam swadeham tanute mahan saptibhi avritam. Translation.
Subject to the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sky allows outer space to accommodate all the various planets which hold innumerable living entities. The total universal body expands with its 7 coverings under its supreme purport. It is understood from this verse that all the planets in outer space are floating and they all hold living entities. The word Shvasatam means those who breathe or the living entities. In order to accommodate them, there are innumerable planets. Every planet is a residence for innumerable living entities. And the necessary space is provided in the sky by the supreme order of the Lord. It is also stated here that the total universal body is increasing. It is covered by 7 layers. And as there are 5 elements within the universe, so the total elements in layers cover the outside of the universal body. The first layer is of earth, and it is 10 times greater in size than the space within the universe. The second layer is water, and that is 10 times greater than the earthly layer. The third covering is fire, which is 10 times greater than the water covering. In this way, each layer is 10 times greater than the previous one. Hare Krishna.
Nabho dadati shvasata. Subject to the control, sky allows outer space to accommodate all various planets which hold innumerable living entities. So Bhagavatam again and again gives the reference to that we are not the only inhabitants. There are many more inhabitants greater than us, different than us. The total universal body expands with its 7 coverings under the supreme control. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that all the planets in the outer space, they are floating. Dharayami aham ojasa. Bhagavad Gita says, Dharayami aham. So this is by the potency of the Supreme Lord, and they all hold living entities. So living entities are there everywhere, sarvagataha. So what is the meaning of sarvagataha? Sarvagataha means existing everywhere. This comes in Bhagavad Gita, the word sarvagataha comes. Now it will take maybe few hundred years from now for science to come close to some kind of explanation to this. And then there will be, dozens of Nobel Prize will be distributed on those scientists. Right. Next is there are innumerable planets. Every planet is residence of Shvasatam. Shvasatam means the living entities who breathe. Right. The breathing living entities, Shvasatam. Now that is very, very direct and clear. And amazing thing is the total universal body is expanding. Now these purports are written in 1970s, and even till then, universe is expanding. Well, the idea was not very well established or accepted. Right. We know that the expanding universe theory, Big Bang, and those things. So here, Bhagavatam clearly says universe is expanding, and then then it will start contracting, and then that is how the universal thing takes place. Universe is covered by 7 coverings. One is 10 times greater than the others, and each layer, this is how 10 times greater than the previous one. And this is the explanation of universe in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Right. So frankly, nobody has any good explanation of universe. The modern theories, what we see, Big Bang, and they are like commonly accepted misnomers. I mean, you are getting this commonly accepted misnomer. It is not that they are scientifically being proven or anything like that. Nothing is proven. Everything is subject to complete changes. So this is the Bhagavatam philosophy. So somebody who is coming from an extreme scientific mind should also accept it, because even within science, nothing is constant. Everything is changing, including Hubble's constant. Right. So because sometimes, this kind of a statement may shake somebody's faith in science. And this is the purpose of Bhagavatam, to shake our faith in science, not only in science, to shake our faith in the material life itself and have a better faith, that is the spiritual faith. Text 44. Gunabhimano devah sargadishu swasya yadbhayat vartante anuyugam yesham vasha etat characharam. Translation.
Translation: out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the directing demigods in charge of the modes of material nature carry out the functions of creation, maintenance, and destruction. Everything animate and inanimate within this material world is under their control. Purport: the 3 modes of material nature, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, are under the control of 3 deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. Lord Vishnu is in the charge of mode of goodness, Lord Brahma is in charge of the mode of passion, and Lord Shiva is in charge of the mode of ignorance. Similarly, there are many other demigods in charge of the air department, the water department, the cloud department, etc. Just as the government has many different departments, so within this material world, the government of the Supreme Lord has many departments, and all these departments function in proper order out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Demigods are undoubtedly controlling all matter, animate and inanimate, within the universe. But above them, the Supreme Controller is the Personality of Godhead. Therefore, in the Brahma Samhita, it is said, Ishvara Paramaha Kṛṣṇa. Undoubtedly, there are many controllers in the departmental management of this universe, but the Supreme Controller is Kṛṣṇa. There are 2 kinds of dissolutions. One kind of dissolution takes place when Brahma goes to sleep during his night, and the final dissolution takes place when Brahma dies. As long as Brahma does not die, creation, maintenance, and destruction are actuated by different demigods under the superintendence of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Now there is order. And out of order of the Supreme Lord, so word fear is taken as the order of the Adarat, order of the Supreme Lord. All the demigods who are in charge of the modes, they are carrying out all the functions, and they are so powerful that everything animate and inanimate is under their control. So not just the living entities, that means, of course, demigods are also living entities, but even the powerful Devata, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, ignorance, they are controlled by three deities, Gunavataras, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. And then there are so many other devata. There is a cloud department, water department, air department. Imagine the universe and the universal affairs. And people used to laugh at 33 crore demigods, and there are so many explanations of that, what that 30 crore means. That means 33 types of the demigods. And somebody says, no, there are 33 crores, and people laugh at it. And some people say, pantheism means, 1, 2, 3 is okay, you're having 33 crore. But now, if you see the scale of the universe, 33 crore is also a paltry number to manage this universe, which is all given by the modern scientific understanding. Okay. So point is, there are various departments, and these departments are governed by demigods who are extremely powerful. In fact, we have seen the explanation how there is a demigod who is controlling the movements of the eyelids. There is a demigod who is controlling the, all other movements of the body. And those great explanations we have seen previously in the second canto and previous part of the third canto. Further, Srila Prabhupada explains that although Ishvara, but still there is Parameshvara. Ishvara Parama Kṛṣṇa Satchidananda Vigraha. The supreme controller is Kṛṣṇa, and he is controlling all the demigods.
Hare Krishna.
Roji, you are not audible.
Yeah, I think there was some connectivity issue. So this is how the demigods are controlling. I am audible, right?
Yes, Prabhuji,
Yes,
now
Prabhuji.
you are.
Text 45. So this is the concluding verse, final verse. Sonto antakara kalo anadir adikritvay avyayam janam janena janayan marayan mrityunantakam. Translation.
The eternal time factor has no beginning and no end. It is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the maker of the criminal world. It brings about the end of the phenomenal world. It carries on the work of creation by bringing one individual into existence from another. And likewise, it dissolves the universe by destroying even the Lord of Death, Yamaraj. Purport. By the influence of eternal time, which is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Father begets a Son, and the Father dies by the influence of cruel death. But by time's influence, even the Lord of cruel death is killed. In other words, all demigods within the material world are temporary, like ourselves. Our lives last for 100 years at the most, and similarly, although their lives may last for millions and billions of years, the demigods are not eternal. No one can live within this material world eternally. The phenomenal world is created, maintained, and destroyed by the finger signal of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, a devotee does not desire anything in this material world. A devotee desires only to serve that Supreme Personality of Godhead. This servitude exists eternally. The Lord exists eternally. His servitor exists eternally. And services exist eternally. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 29th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Explanation of Devotional Service by Lord Kapila.
The eternal time factor, because this section we are discussing about nature of time. Who is the representative of Supreme Lord? Kala, which is representing Anadi, Ishvara. He is the maker of the original criminal world. What a beautiful verses. Which is the original criminal world? The material world, maker of the material world. It brings about the death of everyone, including the master of death, that is all-powerful Yama. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains everybody is under influence of time. Just like the father may give birth to a son, and the father will die, son will die, and this is how the cycle continues. Samsara chakram parivartayet. Even the all-powerful demigods are also under the control of time, influenced by time, and even the Lord of Death, Yama, is also under the influence of time. Why Yama is being mentioned here? Because everybody is afraid of death. But the death personified Yamaraj is also going to die when there is complete dissolution of the... And who carries out this dissolution? Kala. And what is Kala? Kala is just representation, one partial side representation of the Supreme Lord. So this powerful is the Supreme Lord. So the Prabhupada says, no one can live eternally in the material world. That's what exactly Hiranyakashipu wanted to do. But the material world is the place of Dukkhalayam, Ashashvatam. Ashashvatam means things has to keep on continuously changing. And therefore, this is the reason, wisely, a devotee will not desire anything in the material world. That celebrated prayer, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. A devotee desires only to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this servitude, the Lord exists eternally, the Jiva exists eternally, and the relationship between them also exists eternally. Right? And this is how Srila Prabhupada very beautifully concludes this chapter. Chapter 3, chapter 29, Canto 3. So here in this, just a brief review of this chapter, we have seen, basically there were 5 sections. First we saw Devahūti's further questions. Then we saw Kapila Muni describing classes of bhakti. Of course, bhakti is pure and genuine, and but based on the type of the performer, there will be types of bhakti. Then we have seen offenses in bhakti and what are the solution of those offenses. And then we have seen gradations of the jiva, how one jiva, one category is better than another. And finally, we have seen nature of time. So we continue to the next chapter. Chapter 30, description by Lord Kapila of adverse fruitive activities. So any questions now? I mean, just open to everyone, any question we have, any discussion.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
One small question.
Yeah.
Mentioned there are 2 types of dissolutions or annihilations. However, I remember in the second canto, you also referenced one more type of annihilation, that is when the Manu changes, or at the end of the Manu. So how do we understand this, Prabhuji?
And then there is one more type of annihilation also. When the just like when the cycle of Divya Yuga changes, there is Satyayug, Dwapar Yug, Treta Yug, Kali Yug. Okay. And then after Kali Yug, again the next Satyayug is going to start. And if we can just look around what is happening in current Kali Yuga, the kind of kind of garbage that we are producing, plastic, this, that, literally to establish next Satyayuga, you will need one annihilation, right? In between. So there are various types of annihilation. But say when we say there are 2 types or 3 types, it is what we call as annihilation is the thing. Like after every Manvantara, after every cycle of Divya Yuga, there is one annihilation. After Manvantara, change of Manu, there is another annihilation. At the end of the Lord Brahma's day, there is one annihilation. And when Brahma's lifespan is concluded, there is final annihilation. So these are 4 types of annihilation. And now within the Yuga change also there is annihilation. Just like we see concluding Dwapar Yuga and start of Kali Yuga, there was Kurukshetra war where 64 crore warriors were killed. It was annihilation, one annihilation. So there are multiple levels of annihilation between Yuga, conclude cycle of Yuga cycle, Manvantara change means there is always a disturbance, right? So this is what we can see. So there are 5 types, but then some things are based on the gravity. Something is called as small annihilation, something is called as big annihilation, something like that. Right?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Any other discussion? Yeah. So I think we'll continue with the next chapter. So within that annihilation, what happens to jivas is that when Brahmaji goes to sleep, what happens is all the jivas enter the body of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Right? Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And when Brahmaji concludes his life, then all the jivas, that is Mahapralaya, and that is all the jivas, they enter the body of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu. So that is Karanodakshai Vishnu. So this is the, the specifics about where the jivas go during those bigger annihilations. So generally, so when you say two types of annihilation, where the living entities are going, these two types are being considered there. Right? So, so generally in the everyday discussion, we have, a couple of questions here and there, but at the end of the chapter, we have time if there is any discussion related to chapter or otherwise also. This is how generally we proceed. So we continue
Hare
with
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Yes.
How do you respect somebody who's always in the mode of passion or ignorance? How do you respect that person?
Upeksha. Prema, Maitri, Krupa, Upeksha. Upeksha means respecting from a distance. If one is in an extreme passion or ignorance. So, but again, sometimes
I would say you
yeah.
lose respect for such people. How do you? Is it because we are in the material world?
See, sometimes what happens is that, some people, we want to speak of somebody in the passion and ignorance. Sometimes I have seen some two good people, two good devotees also, but their frequency is, such a mismatch that, they just want to avoid each other. So one good way is, if it is, of course, we have to see the specifics. We cannot generalize it. But the point is, from a distance, and do not think of it so much. Simple it is. Like, sometimes situation is such that neither we can change nor we can do anything. Then what can be done? Just focus on whatever we are supposed to do and not think of it. Again, it's a very subjective answer.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So next chapter 30 is adverse fruitive activities. So it is thoda sa daravana chapter. It is divided into two sections. It has 34 verses. First 18 verses 1 to 18, life and death of materialist. So this is how the materialist leads life and concludes and ends his life. And post death, what is the experience the materialist will have? Okay, so thoda sa it is a very, very graphic explanation of what is what. Okay, so let's begin now. Text 1. 1 minute. Description by Lord Kapila of adverse fruitive activities. Text 1. Kapila uvacha tasya etasya janonuyam nayam vedura vikramam kalyamano pivalino vayori vaganavali. Translation.
Translation. The personality of Godhead said, as a mass of clouds does not know the powerful influence of the wind, a person engaged in material consciousness does not know the powerful strength of the time factor by which it is being carried. Purport. The great politician Pandita named Chanakya said that even a moment of time cannot be returned even if one is prepared to pay millions of dollars. One cannot calculate the amount of loss there is in wasting valuable time, either materially or spiritually. One should be alert in utilizing the time which he has at his disposal. A conditioned soul lives in a particular body for a fixed measurement of time, and it is recommended in the scriptures that within that small measurement of time, one has to finish Krishna consciousness and thus gain release from the influence of the time factor. But unfortunately, those who are not in Krishna consciousness are carried away by the strong power of time without their knowledge, as clouds are carried by the wind. Hare Krishna.
So now Kapila Muni continues his description of time. Tasya itasya janonuyam. That the personality of Godhead said, Kapila, as a mass of cloud does not know the powerful influence of the wind. They are simply flowing from one place to another. They do not know it is the wind which is carrying them under the higher direction. Vato vati madbhayat. Similarly, a person engaged in material consciousness does not know the powerful strength of the time factor by which he is being carried forward. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that Srila Prabhupada quotes Chanakya Pandita, Ayushya Kṛṣṇa ekopi na labhet swarna koti bihi. That the one moment, there is that WhatsApp forward, ask the value of a month, one person who is giving exam, ask the value of a hour, person who is, preparing for exam, giving exam, ask the value of a second, the athlete who is running the 100-meter race, and so on and so forth. But the point here is that the time is a commodity which is limited in nature, right? Prabhupada says here, one cannot get even one moment by paying even millions of gold coins. Ayushya kṛṣṇa ekobi na labhet swarna koti bihi. Koti is millions and swarna is gold coins. You cannot get the time back. And therefore, one has to be very, very conscious. One cannot calculate the amount of loss there is in wasting one's valuable time. It's a very powerful words Prabhupada is writing. And that's why one symptom of a devotee, pure devotee, is avyartha kalatvam. Avyartha kalatvam means a devotee is always busy in doing this or that for either for Kṛṣṇa or for one's, or for one's varnashrama activities. Avyartha kalatvam. Why? Because the time is most valuable commodity. In fact, you will be very surprised to know in 2019, I think so, there was a huge research paper which was published by Gemini. The Gemini is the Google AI chatbot, Google AI. And there the title of the research paper was, it's all about focus that we are fighting for. What is required, it's all about focus. What people are fighting for, say Twitter, WhatsApp, Facebook, Pinterest, and there are n number of platforms. What they are fighting for? They are fighting for your focus. They are fighting for your time. And recently I came across such an amazing description of, amazing realization that focus, time flow is inversely proportional to focus. Now let us discuss this. Time flow, focus and time, they are inversely proportional. What it means is, when you are doing the activity you are supposed to be doing, time will flow very slow. Like everybody, we are aware that we should be reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and that's why everybody is so graciously joining this morning class, beginning the day with Bhagavatam. But how long we read? We read for 30 minutes, sometimes 32 minutes, 33 minutes here and there, right? So when we are doing what we are supposed to do, time will flow very slowly. When somebody is doing japa, somebody is chanting 4 rounds, half an hour, 16 rounds, 2 hour, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, right? If the japa, somebody's japa someday goes to 2 hours, 20, 25 minutes, those 5-6 minutes extra, one will feel, oh, what time chala gaya japa mein. Why? Because when we are doing what we are supposed to do, time will flow very, very slow. Vis-a-vis, now take it a point where, we are going to some scrolling. We are mindlessly scrolling on YouTube shorts. And this is, I'm speaking to myself. This is not some pravachan I'm giving to anybody else. This is like swagat. I have to remind myself these things. And when we are on some WhatsApp reading, when we are reading some newspaper or browsing through some cricket scores, this and that, hours and hours will flow simply unnoticed. So focus is inversely proportional to time. When we are focusing on what we are supposed to do, then what happens is time will flow slow. And when we are focused, when our focus goes to what we are not supposed to do, that mindless screen scrolling, then what will happen is time will move very, very fast. This is Kala. This is how. And one will realize, Arey baap re, 4 ghanta nikal gaya. I was simply on Facebook. And I mean, that is, so this is how. And therefore a devotee is always conscious of his focus. Another thing we have to be conscious of is either we are a content consumer or content creator. Right. Again, I'm speaking this for myself. Okay. Content consumer means when we are content consumers, simply watching Netflix or web series or, some threads on Twitter or something like that. What happens is that we are consuming the content. So two things happen by consuming the content. One is our time is brutally destroyed. And second is our brain is programmed by the content. Right. Vis-a-vis, when we become content creator, what happens is, we are doing what we are supposed to do. Focused, time will flow slow. And second thing, what happens is we are able to spread the values in which we believe in, like Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Somebody will say that, Prabhuji, not everybody is content creator. No problem. Then we should watch the content which is like worth watching. Right. There are such wonderful devotees whose content we should be watching than simply a mindless scroll. Prabhupada says the life is very limited. And how limited? The duration of life is not measured in years. It is not that you will live for X number of years or Y number of years. No. The life is limited to the tune of number of breaths one have. Look at this. Number of breath means when the given number is over, not one extra will be allowed or awarded. This is how the time is very, very a small measurement of time one has to finish Krishna consciousness. Later in 7th canto, we'll see Prahlad Maharaj describing how the time goes. And therefore, one has to be, of course, Srila Prabhupada is writing it here for those who are not devotees. And even devotees also, we have to be extremely conscious of one's time and energy that we are extending, where we are putting our time. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji. Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you,
Hare
everyone.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna,
That's
Mataji.
all.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
हाँ प्रभु जी लास्ट चैप्टर में नैमित्तिक धर्म और नित्यम धर्म के बारे में बताया तो
Right.
नैमित्तिक धर्म और नैतिक धर्म इज द सेम कैटेगरीज है या दे आर डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स
Without going into that Sanskrit phrases, what we can see is all of us have 3 types of dharma. What are the 3 types of dharma? One is called as eternal dharma, which is on the platform of the soul, our eternal dharma. What is that? Performing devotional service. And then the devotional activities, Smaranam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Ityati. That is eternal dharma. That is Nitya dharma. Then, apart from spiritual activities, because we are having a material body, there will be material designation to us. We may be man, woman, we may be having one particular varna, particular ashrama. So there are varnashrama activities. These are also very important activities, right? So that is the naimittic dharma. And then sometimes we may have to do certain things which are not even varnashram activities, and that is called as apad dharma. Once in a while, something may happen like that. Apad dharma. Apad dharma means, which are the activities when in emergency one is supposed to do. So there are three things: regular spiritual activities, then there are varnashram activities, and then there are some emergency activities. And these are called as nitya dharma, naimittik dharma, and apad dharma.
Okay,
Right?
thank you. Another one question is that there
Yeah.
is a caste-wise also we indicate a previous chapter. So is there also upper-caste also be there? So is ये पहले से ही चलो आ रहा है कि ये caste wise before त्रेता युग द्वापर ऐसे the now is Kali Yuga में also we are saying about that. So what is the reason about that? मतलब
What is the
Christian में
reason of like? Huh?
क्रिश्चियनिटी में इतना कास्ट वाइज नहीं रहता और मुस्लिम में आई थिंक टू काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स ऐसा सुन्नी otherwise there but in the
Casteism. Acha, acha. In Hinduism, why there is casteism like that? No, see, one thing is there is a misnomer that there is no caste in Christianity or Islam. There are, I mean, if you can just search and you can just go through some, some Twitter threads on castes in Christianity, there are too many castes there. Even the converted Hindus, when they are converted in Christianity, there are Brahmin Christians, there are Dalit Christians, there are Nambudri Christians, and those kind of things in Kerala, because Kerala, they are fully there. And what to speak of them? And then within the other religion also, there are their own castes. And there is Ashrafis, there are Sayyids, there are Ibrahims, there are Bohris, and they don't have any roti-biti vyavahar amongst themselves. So it is a misnomer spread by the last 75-year rule of leftist kind of ideology that casteism exists only in Hinduism. No, casteism exists everywhere, everywhere. Yeah, it is a grand misnomer that other religions there are no castes. Now people are fighting. They are saying, oh no, we are also OBC. We also want that arakshan, and because we also have caste and everything else. But when you converted, you said that in our religion there is no caste, this and that. Ours is such an ideal thing. No, everything is there everywhere. By the way, second thing is in in Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma. Of course, the influence of Kali is there, and it is not that influence of Kali Yuga is there only on Hindu Dharma. Influence of Kali Yuga is there on everybody, right? So that Varnashram system did degrade to the caste system. But the beauty in Sanatana Dharma is that time to time there will be always some social reformers or personalities who will be coming and reviving the whole thing. That is not the case in the Abrahamic religions. That is not the case, like of course sati was never compulsory. That was another misnomer which was taught in NCERT books and everything else. And that's why people there was such a strong force on change the NCERT books, because the books are written in such a way that Sanatanis, they are supposed to mock at their history, be pitiful of their history, be very, very guilt-ridden about their own history. But if you see the Sanatan history, of course, there were casteism, there were discrimination, and that is at any cost that is not to be accepted. But contemporary, what was happening in the other worlds, in the Europe and in America and those worlds during those period, like 300 years, where Shudras were treated badly in India, of course they were, no doubt about it. And is it right or wrong? At 100% it is wrong. Now, while accepting this, if we simply see what was happening 300 years ago in Europe and America, that was horrifying, right? That was horrifying. So of course, you cannot compare the injustices across, but there is no reason to say that, because you are a Hindu and you should be always guilt-ridden. Now, that phenomena is trapping the Western world, Europe and American world, which is called as white guilt. White guilt means people are just made aware. This is the leftist propaganda, woke propaganda. People are made aware of, देखो आपके पूर्वजों ने कितने अत्याचार किए लोगों के ऊपर, and then just by making them count all the अत्याचार his purvaj white people have done, and they have done phenomenal अत्याचार they have done. Now the current generation in America, Europe, they have become guilt, white guilt it is called. They are becoming inbuilt guilty about being white, right? Sometimes the Indian parlance there is that some of the Brahmins, they feel so guilty that itna ye hua, utna hua, like that it is. And what it is going to another direction of complete wokeism. It is going to the direction of people are becoming gays, lesbians, and people are questioning every value that is being taught by their religion. And there are many good values taught by every religion, but people are questioning just everything now. And whatever is coming, whatever is being passed down in generations, like the family values and this and that, outrightly they are being rejected because of this white guilt. And it's a big trap of Kali Yuga. So one should be aware of that guilt also, white guilt. Who are we? We are devotees. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago, that's a phenomenal time, 550 years ago, he made Namacharya Haridas Thakur into Namacharya. And that time he said, Kiba Vipra Kibanayasi Shudra Kenanai. Ei Kṛṣṇa Tattvavetta Sei Guru Hai. So Mahaprabhu is regarded as the greatest social reformer in the history of India. Right? Of course, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But so one should be aware of this thing, what inputs we are catching. Now there is slowly, after 2014, there is a kind of greater awareness how this propaganda is being propagated, and people are trapped into, some idea that, Aryan invasion theory, now it is out of the books, that we have studied, we have rectified, we have written big answers and got some 5 out of 5 marks. It's all a false narrative. Similarly, that this narrative that other religions have no caste, it's a false narrative. There are hundreds of castes within each of these religions, right? So one should, and therefore there is a reason why we should be that history of his itihas. That one film was there very recently; it was launched. Then there are, and there are many Twitter threads like that. Nowadays, I'm out of Twitter, away from Twitter. But if you can go and visit, True Indology is one amazing thread. It is. He talks very brutally about historical truths. With that is one is he. Another is there you can get a lot of information. And another is Sudhanshu Trivedi. If you hear, he is a BJP spokesperson, Sudhanshu Trivedi, and very knowledgeable person. And if you hear, ask these questions on Google with Sudhanshu Trivedi or, this True Indology, then you will get quite authentic answers. But again, needless to say, our main course is devotional service, right? So although this may come as a passage of discussions, we should not become so engrossed in Upadharma that our real dharma, Parodharma is covered over, right?
Okay, Prabhuji. Dhanyavad, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.